Fanatics also reported a 100% increase in sales for WNBA specific merchandise. It started with Caitlin Clark. And so now that we know all of this, and we've known that for months, now we get to turn around and look and see what exactly is it that the league will do knowing that she's out for the next 2 weeks. I'm not saying I know for sure what's going to happen, but I have an idea.
Additionally, fans noted that sales of WNBA-specific products had increased by 100%. It began with Caitlin Clark. Now that we are aware of everything and have been for months, we can go back and see what the league will do specifically now that she will be away for the next 2 weeks. I have an idea, but I'm not claiming to know exactly what will occur.
Fortunately, though, the celebration in the WNBA, it was cut short yesterday afternoon as WNBA players learned the harsh lesson, be careful what you wish for. Headline at the New York Post. Caitlin Clark sidelined with Indiana Felines announcing shock injury. Keyword, shock. This injury was shocking, but not for reasons that you may think.
The WNBA allowed this to happen just when you thought they were finally figuring things out and were prepared to ride the golden wave of Caitlin Clark all the way to the promised land of popular significance and financial success. And I'm referring about the injury that has every basketball fan, sports expert, and yes, even Stephen Smith, completely inconsolable.
Moving Caitlin Clark games to bigger facilities because everyone was selling tickets. There were ratings. It was a ratings bonanza. Now with Caitlin Clark not playing, what do? Well, when you change your situs, guess what? You can't change it back.
Yep.
All
the tickets are literally half the price, and there are entire sections of the stadium that have not sold any tickets.
With a left quad strain, Caitlin Clark, the lady who single-handedly transformed women's basketball from a niche sport that your cousin who is crazy with the game watches into an appointment television show that has people canceling dinner reservations, is currently sitting on the sidelines. They say at least 2 weeks. The WNBA has spent the last 2 weeks attempting to act as though losing their biggest star, their golden goose, and their actual ratings magnet won't cause their viewership numbers to plummet more quickly than a house of cards in.
Thanks to Clark, Indiana led the league in attendance both at home and on the road. The Fever averaged 17,035 fans at home and over 15,000 on the road. 4 teams moved home games to bigger arenas when Indiana came to town to accommodate more fans. That's about Caitlin Clark. How do we know this? Attendance for the entire league was up nearly 50% last year. According to data from across the timeline, and Indiana led all teams with an average attendance of 17,035. That was up 319% from the year earlier.
And who was the first to completely lose it over this? It was none other than Stephen A. Smith, who has been standing up for Caitlin Clark since the beginning, when half of the WNBA establishment pretended that she was a basketball tourist who had wandered into their league by mistake.
We'll find out. We don't know yet, but I'm going to be really, really interested in seeing, Molly, what kind of effect this has on the WNBA's ratings. Because if for some reason there is a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down and recognize the fact that the speculation or the assertions and assumptions about her being the golden goose is validated.
Stephen made more than one remark about this injury. He completely lost it. And to be honest, it's about time someone did, because Stephen is out here stating facts that would make a mathematician cry with joy, while everyone else is avoiding the obvious and attempt to be politically correct and act as though Caitlin Clark isn't actually carrying this league on her back. We'll discover. When asked how large of a blow Clark's injury is to the WNBA, Stephen responded, "We don't know yet." However, I'm going to be extremely curious to watch how this affects the WNBA's numbers, because if there's a sharp decline, then everyone must take a back seat.
Became the first rookie with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in a playoff game. That was Caitlin Clark. Became the 4th different rookie to play all 40 minutes in a playoff game. That was her. I'm looking at other things. 6 different league television partners This is last year. This is last season. Because this is Caitlin Clark that we're talking about. 6 different league television partners set viewership records that year, her rookie year, for its highest viewed WNBA game. Do you know every one of those games, including the Indiana Fever?
If you're having fun, please subscribe. Oh, Steven, you are a lovely, brilliant, logical being. Because the man is essentially sitting there with a stopwatch waiting to record the very minute the WNBA realizes they've been undervaluing their most important asset. Isn't that what's going to happen? It's like listening to someone whine about being broke while ignoring a pot of wealth. And the man shouting, "The gold is right there," is Steven. Let's take a moment to discuss numbers since it seems like certain WNBA front office staff members need a reality check and a calculator. This season, games with Caitlin Clark have averaged 1.178 million viewers, while those without her have only attracted 394,000. That's more than just a distinction. That gap of 199% is so large that a goods train might pass through it. To put this into context, Clark's games attract 3 times as many viewers as those without her, even for the most mathematically impaired sports executive. 3 times.
Tide lifts all boats. And if this is the magnetic traction that draws viewers to the WNBA, and her absence over the next 2 weeks due to that quad strain is providing further evidence of that, then everybody needs to accept it, stand down, and ride that wave. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how the ratings are going to look without her over the next 2 weeks. Let's make sure we come back and ask me this exact same question after she's been gone for those 2 weeks.
But people, this is when things get very hot. Not all of Steven Smith's grief stems from the injuries. He has spent months preparing for this moment. This man has witnessed the WNBA fumble in its attempts to manage its biggest star. He has witnessed the league's leadership, including Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, respond ambivalently when they ought to have been organizing ticker tape parades, and he has witnessed legendary players like Cheryl Swoops acting more like Clark was an intruder than the much-needed savior. Now that Clark is hurt, Steven is basically screaming, "I told you so," in the most dramatic manner imaginable. Acknowledge that the rumors, claims, and presumptions that she is the golden goose have been confirmed. Steven went on, and you will know that you ride that wave if that occurs.
Know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm, and they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now, the young white girl comes along, and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
Yes, let's take a quick look back and discuss how we got here. Caitlin Clark became a one-woman economic stimulus package after joining the WNBA. The most-watched WNBA game on ESPN channels ever, the season opener between Clark's Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky, attracted 2.7 million people on ABC. That number is not just remarkable, but almost miraculous for a league that has been struggling for relevancy for more than 20 years. Here's the kicker, though. Rather of the WNBA brass swooning and giving thanks to whatever basketball gods gave them this gift, we received this instead. In different press releases and generic social media content, they seemed ashamed of their own accomplishments. Too afraid to acknowledge that a single player might have such a significant impact. This was witnessed by Stephen A. Smith in real time, and his frustration has been steadily growing. He has seen Clark break attendance records, fill venues, and effectively bring the WNBA into the public eye, while some players and commentators pretended she wasn't deserving of the spotlight.
I think Stephen A. is 100% correct on this. At the end of the day, you already see people actually saying, hey, I'm not watching for 2 weeks. I'm not tuning in for 2 weeks. And it's really bad news for the Mystics and the Sky, because both of those teams moved those games to big arenas. So it's like, now that she's not playing, what is that attendance going to look like? The viewership, right? The viewership is going to plummet. I already know, because majority of the people that's watching the Indiana Fever wants to see Caitlin Clark. And sad to say it, a lot of them only want to see Caitlin Clark. They don't really care about the entire team.
Rather than applauding the rising tide that was lifting all boats, the man has been defending Clark from detractors who are more concerned with preserving their own egos. Steven was there to call it out when former WNBA players began making fun of each other and behaving resentful rather than appreciative. Steven made reference to Clark's outspoken detractors when he added, "They act like there isn't or hasn't been legitimate resentment." However, nobody is duped here, and since Clark isn't simply missing any previous games, we can now watch Steven's forecast come to pass in real time. The premier matchups that were meant to be television gold are lacking her. The much-awaited rematch between the Chicago Sky and Angel Reese is no longer happening. Networks were relying on a number of nationally broadcast games to boost numbers. Proof upon further consideration, the financial ramifications are astounding. In addition to losing their top player, the Indiana Fever are also losing their main source of income. Clark is more than simply the team's top scorer and assist provider. People literally buy tickets, watch television, and buy stuff because of her. Without her, the Fever would be simply another WNBA club that most casual fans couldn't choose from a list of must-see TV shows.